Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Well, with the world in the position it is today, with the rise of China, with Russia flexing its muscles, with the trouble going on in the Middle East, not even to touch on the subject of this lockdown and the COVID-19 pandemic, do we have a problem in the United States? And I say that because let's remember the United States is seen as the leader of the free world. And the president of the United States is none other than Joe Biden. Well, there's a video attached here where you'll see a remarkable loss of memory by Biden in a town hall setting with CNN. Of course, CNN are that lefty-friendly fake news media organization in the United States. And what happens after the little clip that you will see? Biden's state of mental health is analyzed, and it's not a pretty situation, especially when you consider that the vice president is Kamala Harris. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube to be kept informed. Please remember to register on our new platform, lovinglifetv.com. That's where we're transitioning to. Please like this video, please share this video, and above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.
Or moments like these, for instance, answers to simple questions like, when will children under 12 get vaccinated?
And I've heard you speak about it because you always, I'm not being solicitous, but you're always straight up about what you're doing. And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you are, why can't the experts say, we know that this virus is in fact, it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved, but permanently approved.
That doesn't seem quite right to me, but let's ask an expert. Joining me is psychiatrist and author Tanveer Ahmed. Tanveer, it's great to catch up. Look, I know that you can't diagnose someone just from a few video clips. You need the full range of tests and all that kind of thing. But looking at grabs like that and others that we've run over the last year or two, do you see anything that makes you think, well, something is not quite right?
Look, I think it's absolutely reasonable to raise concerns. I mean, look, it's understandable, age 77, the oldest president, these concerns would be raised. I mean, similar thing was raised when Reagan was in power. Some of the key early signs of dementia, Andrew, is short-term recall, losing track of your thoughts, and we're seeing some key examples there. Sometimes just what's called confabulating, where they're almost making up stories. And Joe Biden actually has a history of that in recent years. On the campaign trail, he'd talk about deals he'd done or trips he'd made overseas while as a member, as a representative, and he just didn't do them at all. Like sometimes they were well before he was even in Congress or he was in a supposed position. He refers to Kamala Harris as president sometimes. So he definitely shows some signs of short-term memory loss, confabulation. And look, he does have a bit of history. Just thinking about his medical history, he's had 2 blood aneurysms 20-odd years ago, just over 20-odd years ago. Now, that suggests he may have some vascular disease. Now, his physician did see him a couple of years ago and gave him a clean bill of health. He also has some acid reflux, which sometimes explains his hoarse voice. He gets that too. But look, I think it's perfectly... Once you're over the age of 75, Andrew, almost 1 in 5 people have some signs of early dementia. And with Joe Biden, you definitely get, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask the question. Now, it could be, the debate is this what's known as benign senescence, which is really, it's a bit of ageism, but it's ageism grounded in fact that as you age, you can just get little bouts of short-term memory loss. But as long as it's not sustained, you can say, okay, no, he's still got a clean bill of health. I mean, the other problem with Joe Biden is, it is probably steadily getting worse in the last sort of 12, 18 months. And that is a feature of dementia, where you're kind of seeing a steady, gradual decline. So there's some big questions. I don't think it's unreasonable to raise these questions. We should give a bit of a historical backdrop here.
But what I ask you too then is, so what? I mean, look, you know, to underline, I am taking clips from interviews where for the most part there's no problem at all, right? It's talking fine and then suddenly, boom, the memory goes. So what is actually the problem, even like with early dementia, for instance? You know, are you actually fine? Is your judgment still perfectly okay? Once you get back your train of thought, you know, you recollect that, oh yeah, that's where I was going. Or are you really not quite up to the job?
Depends what stage of it is. The early signs can be short-term memory loss, but also really in terms of trying to take in the complex concepts and taking large amounts of information, which the president would be expected to do, that would be extremely difficult for him. I mean, he was able to get through some of the debates, through whether it be Bernie Sanders and through the sort of Democratic campaign and obviously later Trump. So he sort of just hung in there. So you get the feeling he's almost just holding on, which can be a feature of dementia, where as long as you've got enough people supporting you, you can sort of just hold on. And I think there's a bit of that going on with Joe Biden. It'll become clearer probably in the next 12, 18 months. I do think if there was clear signs of dementia, you'd probably see his inner brass, you know, sitting with him meetings all day, etc., Kamala Harris and some of his closest aides, I think would become very clear to them fairly rapidly. And you may well see some leaking. I mean, you can imagine Kamala Harris is, you know, she'd be in prime position in the event.
Don't even go. Stop terrifying my audience there, Tanveer. I don't think we're ready to even contemplate that yet, but you're quite right. I think it's also interesting they've limited his engagements to about one a day, which is a very light load. But anyway, we shall see. Tanveer Ahmed, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure. Thanks, Andrew.